So today we're going to talk about whether or not your ferret should see the vet every single year, as well as a bonus tip at home on a way to make sure that they are staying healthy in between. So it seems pretty common knowledge that when people have dogs and cats that you should take them for yearly vet checkups, right? So what about your ferret? For some reason, when it comes to pets like hamsters and gerbils, birds, and even these guys, people don't feel the need to take them for veterinary checkups. If you're going to take your dog or cat to the vet, why wouldn't you take your other pets? Ferrets should go to the vet at least every year for a vet checkup, just like your dog or cat would. I would suggest twice a year, but at the very least, at least once a year. Whether or not you do vaccines for your ferrets is another subject entirely, which I did do a video on, which I can link up above and down below. Unfortunately, ferrets are very prone to cancer and other kind of tumors, so it's very important they're seeing a vet so that way you can catch it early so you can treat these things. Like most animals, ferrets can be very good at hiding their illnesses, which means if you start noticing them having a problem, they've probably already had that issue for quite some time and it's probably already pretty severe. One of the things our vets do at our checkups is check their glucose levels. So they'll do a blood test and then check the glucose level to see if they have insulinoma. Insulinoma can onset at any time, so it's definitely good to get it checked often to see if they have issues. Now, they can present with symptoms of insulinoma at home, so if they're lethargic, sluggish, sometimes they'll even start dragging their back legs. There's a lot of different things that can indicate to insulinoma, and at that time, the ferret's already suffering a little bit, so sometimes you can catch it before those symptoms actually progress to those levels. During their checkups, they always check in their ears, their eyes, they make sure they're not having any nasal discharge, which again, you should notice at home as well, but the vets do a really good job like checking real deep in their ears. They will check them all over, as well as they will usually, for lack of better words, they squish their bellies. Obviously they're not squishing them, but they'll check inside to see if they can feel any tumors. For some of our ferrets, that's how we ended up finding out originally that they had tumors. The vet actually could feel them on the inside. If your ferret ends up with any of these issues like adrenal disease, insulinoma, or any other type of cancers or tumors, it's important these things are treated. So of course they're going to have to go back to the vets to have these treated. If they get insulinoma, they usually have to go back to have their glucose level checked a couple times a year, as well as you're going to have to get a medicine for them that you're going to have to give them usually at least daily, if not more often. If they're diagnosed with adrenal disease, they have to go back at least every year, sometimes it can be even every 6 months, to have an implant put in them to help treat the adrenal symptoms. Now you might be saying, I've had a ferret, they lived to a very old age, no problems, no issues, which maybe they did. Obviously, genetically speaking, there is a chance that your ferret could be very, very happy without any issues like insulinoma, adrenal disease, or any other sicknesses or illnesses. However, more often than not, they tend to at least get something in the span of their lifetime. So do you really want to risk them suffering by not taking them to the vet? Alright, before I share the bonus tips, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and check out some of our older videos. We do all kinds of ferret care videos, as well as adventures with these guys, plus a little bit with our cats and dogs as well. Now, in between vet visits, you of course want to do your own wellness checks. So your ferrets should get human interaction every single day, and when you are interacting with them, you want to make sure you kind of give them a good look over. So you make sure you check kind of inside their ears, you can check inside their mouth, make sure they got no bumps or maybe a chipped tooth that could be hurting them. Check between like their toes, as well as just everywhere kind of all over on their body to make sure maybe they don't have a bump or something growing or any injuries. Creature, our sable ferret, who unfortunately recently did pass away, the first time that he actually had any health issues was actually a bump on one of his back legs. When we first noticed it, we of course made a vet appointment immediately so that way the vet could start treating it, because his next vet checkup wasn't going to be for another few months. After removing that bump, months later that bump did grow back, and again that was something we noticed because again we interact and check out our ferrets every single day to make sure that everything is okay. So when we noticed it came back, we again obviously took him back to the vets, which that time actually resulted in him having that leg amputation. Years later, Creature actually ended up growing a tumor in his ear, which again was pretty well hidden, because if you can kind of see, they have all this hair kind of on the outside of their ears, so it could be really difficult to see if you're not kind of checking in there often. So the tumor actually was just in there behind the hair, so he had to have that removed as well. Other things to check for is their fur. So their fur will change throughout the year. Normally when winter comes, they'll shed a little bit and start growing in their winter coat and will get thicker. But when spring and summer start to roll around, they're going to shed that winter coat and can get a little straggly looking, where they lose that big fluffy coat. But it's important to note, if they start losing like a lot of hair, they could have adrenal disease. So one of our, oh bless you. So one of our older ferrets, Hokey, who unfortunately is not with us, we noticed him losing a little bit of hair, so we assumed that he had adrenal disease, so we took him in for an adrenal implant. The same thing with Creature. Creature ended up with adrenal disease, and the first symptoms that we noticed were a loss of hair. So when his hair started getting thinner than normal, we took him into the vet so that way he could be also treated for adrenal disease. So if you do decide that you want to add a ferret to your life, definitely make sure you consider not only the normal finances of the ferret, their housing, toys, food, litter boxes, litter, etc., but make sure that you have enough money to take care of their vet bills. Their vet bills can definitely be a little more expensive than dogs and cats because they are exotic animals, but it's definitely very important that they go to make sure that your ferrets live long, happy lives. Thanks for watching, guys!